Hello there, you beautiful people. So the final logical keyword, the final logical operator that we have is the OR operator. So what the OR operator does is it gives us true if input A or input B are true. So as we can see from the truth table, it gives us true if either one of A or B or both of them are true. So if B is true, you're going to get true. If A is true, you're going to get true. If A and B are both true, you're going to get true. But if they're both false, then you're going to get false. So basically, OR is a very forgiving type of logic. So you use it if you just want to check whether any of these conditions are true. So let me show you an example. Okay, so let's create a variable called C, and let's set that equal to 5, and D is going to be -1. So let's have our logic, our if statement, say if C is greater than 1, or in lowercase, sorry, or D is greater than 1, then print it worked. And that worked, right? So let's see why. So is 5, well, first thing it's going to check is C greater than 1? C is 5, so is 5 greater than 1? It is, right? So we're going to get true. Then you've got OR in the middle. Now, is D greater than 1? Is -1 bigger than 1? It's not, right? So that's going to be false. But because one of the inputs to OR is true, the overall thing gives us true. So that means the condition here is true. If I had C... let's say if I had D is equal to 5, right? And had it if C greater than 1 or D greater than 1, print it worked. Okay, so C's 5, right? Is 5 bigger than 1? Yes, it is. Okay, so we get true for that. Is 5 now, because D's 5, is 5 bigger than 1? Yes, it is. So now both of these conditions are true. And that also gives us true. The only way that this will fail is if both are false. So if I said if C is greater than 100 or D is greater than 100, print it worked. I can't spell. It worked. That's not going to work, right? Because C is 5. 5 isn't greater than 100, so you get false. And D is 5. 5 isn't greater than 100. So get false. False or false? False. Okay, so that's how the OR operation works. Now you can combine this with the NOT, just like we did with the AND. So take, for example, if I did this, we know that that doesn't work, right? That comes false. But if I did a NOT here and put a bracket around all of this, now I'm saying take the NOT of whatever this gives. We know this gives false, so what's not false? It's going to be true, right? And now it's going to work. So that's how you can combine together NOT and OR to create a NOR, basically, which just gives you the opposite of what the OR would give. So combining together all these operations is how you make really, really powerful operations of your own. So let me show you a rather complicated example to show you what I mean about how you can combine these operators. Okay, now this is rather heavy, so bear with me, but it's going to show the point. I'm just going to give us some space here, and I'm going to create C equal to 6, and D is 2. Okay, C is 6 and D is 2. And I'm going to write this condition. If C is greater than 5 and D greater than 5, or C greater than 1 and D greater than 1, print it worked. Now I'm not going to press enter. I'm just going to walk you through what answer this is going to give. Okay, so let's start on the left, because that's how these things work, right? Let's start on the left here. C is 6, so is 6 greater than 5? That's true, right? That's going to be correct. Okay, so we've got true here. Is D greater than 5? No, it's not, right? Because D is 2, and 2 is not greater than 5. So we've got true and false. This whole bracket here is going to be false. Okay, so we've got false on the left side of an OR. Now on the right side here, we've got C is equal to 6. So is 6 greater than 1? Yes, it is. So that's going to be true. Now we've got D greater than 1. Is 2 greater than 1? Yes, it is. So this is true and this is true, which means this whole bracket is true. Okay, so we've got this whole bracket being false, this whole bracket being true. What's false or true? That's going to be true, right? So if I press enter, it worked. Okay, so this whole bracket became false, as I showed you. This whole bracket became true. False or true gave true. The whole condition was true, which means this code was ran. So I know that was a bit hardcore, but that's how these conditions are combined together to make more powerful conditions. What we'd be checking is if they're both bigger than 5 or they're both bigger than 1, run this code. Okay, so in plain English. So that's a very powerful ability to be able to combine all of these things together. And actually, to be honest, you could go another level if you really wanted, just for example purposes. We know that this works, right? That works. But I could make it not work by putting a bracket around all of this. I could make it not work, putting a bracket around all of it and typing not. Okay? And now that won't work because it was true. Not true is false. So now this whole condition is false and it didn't work. So you can combine and mix and match these operators as much as you like, which is a massively powerful ability. Phew, well, after all that logic, my brain is starting to hurt. So let's have a quick recap to make sure that we've got it all. So in the last lecture, we started looking at the not condition. The not condition basically reverses what you'd get otherwise. So not true is false and not false is true. Simple. After that, we had a look at the AND condition. The AND condition only gives you true if both inputs are true. So if A and B are true. Then we had a look at the OR condition. The OR condition gives you true if A or B are true. So if either of the inputs are true, OR is going to give you true. It also gives you true if both of them are. So OR is like a more flexible AND. Now we can combine these NOR and OR. Oh my god, that's so confusing. But you can combine these three conditions to make more powerful conditions like the one that we saw here. Now obviously this is a lot to take in, and the best way to do it is by practice and trying it in real life in your code. Trust me, when you know what you're looking for and what you're trying to program, all of this is really easy to do. So to help with that and to help give you some practice, I've got a multiple choice quiz up next to help you solidify the concepts, and then after that we're going to have a section review and move on to the data structures section of the course, which lend themselves very well to being worked with logic. So we should have some quite good practice there. So up next you have the multiple choice quiz, which I wish you the best of luck with, and I'll see you in the section review.